Hey guys, Simon here from Top Tennis Training, and in this video I want to help you hit the perfect slice serve in 3 simple steps. So before we get into the steps, why would we use a slice serve? Now a slice serve is where you're basically cutting around the top and the outside of the ball. So if the ball was a clock, 12 o'clock at the top, 6 o'clock at the bottom, for a right-handed player, we're hitting the ball somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock on the ball. Now the reason that we use a slice serve is on the deuce side, if we slice it well, especially if we slice it quite short in the box, it's going to be moving away from the opponent. So the returner on the other end, my opponent now, he's going to have to be cutting off the ball, or he's going to be chasing the ball to his right to actually hit the return. So the more slice I can do, the more it's going to open up the court. Now on the ad side, I can use that same slice serve down the tee. Oh my god. Now another reason to use a good slice serve is to jam players in the body. So a good slice serve into the body, especially on the backhand wing, is a very good weapon to have, and it's something that a lot of pros perfect. They perfect going between the kick and the slice, alternating between both on the second serve. So they'll hit one really good kick serve, the player will move out, they'll expect it moving away from them, and then they'll hit the slice serve, which then jams them in the body. So it's a very good way to use for a second serve, especially if you don't have a good kick serve. So on the kick serve, if you have a good kick, that would be the most reliable second serve that you could have. But a slice serve is close behind, because you can actually slice the ball but still get quite a nice margin over the net, and also the spin is then going to bring it back in. And I teach it to a lot of female players who don't have the power and the strength to do actually a good kick serve, so I developed that slice serve for them so that they have a safe, reliable second serve. So step number 1 to having a perfect slice serve is all about the grip. Now if you use a forehand grip, and I try to slice this ball now, I'm using a semi-western forehand grip, I'm trying to cut the outside of the ball here. I managed to get it in, but it's a very weak serve, and if my opponent's quite a good player, they're going to be moving in and crushing that type of serve. So I need the continental grip, which is this grip, the hammer grip, the chopper grip as some players call it. So we use the continental grip for this slice serve, and this will allow us prior to contact to be on edge with the racket head. So the racket head will be like this prior to contact, and at contact we open the string slightly, but they're still slightly on edge, so that we can hit the outside top right hand corner of the ball. If I'm not using that continental grip, it will be very hard for me to hit a really good aggressive slice serve time and time again. So most pros serve with a continental grip. If you aren't using a continental grip already, I advise you to start moving slowly round until you master that grip. So now we have the grip. Step number 2 is now all about the ball toss and where we're going to make contact with the ball. So if you imagine that this ball is a clock, once again, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm looking at it from my angle, not from the camera's angle. If I want to hit a good slice serve, I'm aiming to hit the ball somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock, 1:30 if you imagine the small hand on the clock. So I want to be hitting this part of the ball. Now some coaches will teach you to hit 3 o'clock to really spin it. Now the trouble with that serve, if I hit 3 o'clock, I'm going to be going around the outside of the ball. I'm going to have the slice on the outside of the ball, but it's not going to have that same dip. So to hit a more aggressive one, we want to be hitting somewhere on top. Now when I say hit at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock on the ball, I don't mean to actually go with your strings here at contact, because if I do that, this is what's going to happen. The ball's going to go right down into the ground and it's going to have no power. Now when I say hitting the ball around 1 or 2 o'clock. I don't mean hitting the outside of that ball, I mean hitting the front of the ball, but around that 1 or 2 o'clock spot. If we hit the outside of the ball, it's going to go right down into the ground and off to the left side of the court. If I want to be hitting the ball at around 1 or 2 o'clock, but at the front side of the ball, if I do this, that will give me that good dip into the court and the angle and the width on the serve. Now you're probably wondering about the ball toss. A lot of coaches will teach you to throw it more to your right, and this does work because if I throw the ball more to my right, my angle of the strings, the racket angle, is going to be slightly more on edge. Now it's very important on the slice serve that I'm leading with this side of the racket. The edge of the racket is traveling up to the ball first. If I travel with my strings like this, I'm going to hit a flat serve. So I want my strings to be like this on edge, and then as I'm making contact, it opens slightly. So if I throw more to my right, this is a much easier action to achieve. However, by doing this, by throwing it more to my right, my opponent on that side might see that the slice serve is coming, and then they can react before I've even hit the ball. So eventually you can start off with throwing the ball more to your right so that you can get that extreme slice serve like so. But eventually you want to be hitting the serve with the same or the similar ball toss time and time again so that your opponent on the other side cannot read where you're serving. So if we look at a player like Federer, he always has, or he always maintains, a very similar ball position on the serve. So his ball toss is always around the same spot. Now, Pete Sampras, one of the greatest servers of all time, he would throw his ball in line with the baseline. So his ball toss the left arm would come up like this in line with the baseline. Now as he's tossing, he could hit the different serves with that same ball toss. If he throws it and hits the ball around here, he can hit a slice serve. If he waits for the ball to come a little bit more in front of his body, he can hit the flat serve. And if he wants a kick with that same ball toss, he can let it fall slightly behind his head and hit a kick serve. So the same ball toss time and time again, but changing where he's actually making contact with the ball and changing the racket angle. A lot of the differences on the serve happen just because of the different angle of how we make contact. A flat serve would be with my strings facing my target, a slice serve would be slightly on edge, and a kick serve would be my racket traveling upwards at contact. So try to keep the ball toss as similar as you can to your normal serve. So here I'm going to work on step number 1, which is having the correct grip, the continental grip, and step number 2, which is trying to make contact around 1 or 2 o'clock on that ball. All I'm thinking about are those two things in this moment. Now that was a nice little angle, and step number 3 now is to get a bit more power and to get a bit more width on that slice. So step number 3 is now really using my body and my leg drive to drive forwards into the court. So I'm going to change my ball toss slightly. I'm going to toss the ball slightly more in front than what I've just been working on. Now the reason I want to throw the ball slightly more in front is that my body's then chasing after the ball slightly. I'm driving with my legs, but also I want to feel that this right shoulder is actually coming towards the ball first. So I'm almost throwing my right shoulder into that ball. I'm almost imagining that I'm going to hit the ball with my right shoulder. Now what this will do is really focus on that rotation. So I've reached my trophy position, and as you can see my back is slightly turned to the net. Now from this position I want to now feel that this right shoulder is really rotating, coming forward, and this is almost leading the way to the ball. As I hit, I'm now opening up fully, so I've done a nice 180 turn with my shoulders from here, from this position here to that position where my right shoulder is fully facing the net. So let's have a look. So ball toss more in front and really throwing the right shoulder into that ball. Still working on step number 1 and step number 2, which is having the continental grip and hitting the ball at 1 or 2 o'clock. Now there, I got the power, I got the slice, but I want it a little bit shorter, so I'm going to try to really focus on that 1 or 2 o'clock here. Slightly shorter on that one, but it was slightly wide, so I have to still snap down a little bit more. And before you actually hit the slice serve, and when you're working on it, you can actually go over those steps in your head again. Correct grip, continental, contact point 1 or 2 o'clock on the ball, throwing my shoulder into the serve. On that slice serve, I actually really focused on hitting the ball and then coming down on the ball. So really snapping, not my wrist, but snapping on top of my racket and allowing that snap to happen, which will then give me that short, acute angle that I'm looking for. And one of the great things about a good slice serve is even if my opponent knows it's coming, even if they read it, if I do toss it slightly more to my right, they still have to deal with it. And they're so far off the court that unless they hit a really great return, either down the line for a clean winner or a really good short angle, I have the upper hand in that rally straight away. If I have hit an aggressive serve, if I hit a slice serve and it's a bit weaker, that gives them the chance to take control of the rally. If I hit with quite a lot of pace and I move them off that court past the tram lines or into the tram lines, I'll have the upper hand in that rally. So there you have it, guys. 3 steps to hitting a perfect slice serve. Now inside our serve blueprint course, we cover the slice serve, the kick serve, the flat serve, and all the different elements of the serve. The grip, how to use pronation, supination, how to use your legs, how to get the power, the different power sources, different ways that you can increase your topspin, the kick serve, different ways that you can increase your slice, different drills for the legs. We cover everything inside that blueprint course. And if you want more help with that serve, you can click the link under this video. Now let's go over those 3 steps once again. Step number 1, having the continental grip. Step number 2, the ball toss, trying to hit the ball somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock if the ball was a clock. Once again, you're not hitting the outside at 1 or 2 o'clock, you're hitting the front face of the 1 or 2 o'clock. Step number 3, really using your body and really throwing your right shoulder into that serve if you're a right-handed player, your left shoulder if you're a lefty. So thanks for watching the video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below as well, subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on the notifications so you get our newest videos as well, and share it with your friends. Share it with anyone who you think would benefit from having a great slice serve, maybe a doubles partner, maybe someone that you enjoy playing with. Share it with them. All the best, guys, and see you soon.